Hello, welcome to the Metal Matt Podcast. I am your host, Metal Matt, and today's episode is just going to be, I wouldn't really call this an episode as more as a rant. And I'm going to rant about a movie today, and I have no idea if it's going to be one part or two parts. I don't even know if 15 minutes can even do it justice. But I'll try my best to keep this all in one part and make it entertaining. The movie I'm going to be reviewing is none other than Rock of Ages. And that's going to be torture, but whatever. First of all, shout out to Chucky's Playground. Really great place to be. Always doing good stuff on there, so definitely check us out. And Movie Mayhem with Spanky and G. Still keeping up. Still pumping out episode after episode. Great episode, great podcast on Lars and the Real Girl, which starred Ryan Gosling. I know Spanky's crazy about him, but yeah, so a great episode, great podcast. Definitely check it out. It's really enjoyable. So the movie that I'm going to talk about today is a movie I really do not want to talk about because I just watched it and I truly believe that's one of the worst movies I have ever seen. It's not the worst film of all time, but it's not the worst film I've ever seen, but it ranks way up there. I'd probably say it's the second worst movie I've ever seen. The movie's Rock of Ages. And when I first heard about it, I was like, you know what? It might work. Because a rock musical, really interesting. You could probably do some really enjoyable things with that, but they completely screwed it up. I mean, it's unbelievable how much this movie sucked. Strangely enough, it was from the director of Hairspray, which I just reviewed about a few weeks ago, so that's rather interesting to say the least. And so the plot takes place in 1987, and it centers around Sherry, played by country star Julianne Hough. That's the first problem right there, the casting of the leads. The leads' acting ability sucks. I mean, honestly, man. Like, when you get a country singer to be the female lead in a rock musical, I don't even know how you think that's going to work. You are crazy to think that's going to work. And then the male lead is Drew Boley, played by Diego Boneta. I have no idea who he is. All I know is that he was apparently on Pretty Little Liars. Never seen that show, probably never will. Both of them are terrible, just really terrible acting. The two of them don't have any chemistry together. They're just really bland leads. And the movie starts horribly. Like, it really just starts horribly. And Sherry's kind of just looking through her records, and she's actually got some good records on there, so, like Aerosmith Permanent Vacation, Lita Ford, stuff like that. And she starts singing Sister Christian, and at first, it's okay, Then other people on the bus start singing it. Then once the chorus hits, motoring, what's your price for life, or whatever it is, and the entire bus is singing the song. If that is not freaking goofiness, I don't know what is. That is cheesy as hell, man. And anyway, Drew is working at the Bourbon Room, which is like this big club on the Sunset Strip of Los Angeles. And Sherry arrives at the Bourbon, and this is pretty funny. Yeah, her stuff gets stolen, and Drew's like, "Man, that sucks. I'm Drew." Like, not even mere seconds after her possessions get robbed, he introduces himself like it was no big deal at all. Just, ugh. And then the club owner, Dennis Dupree, who's played by Alec Baldwin, and Lonnie, played by Russell Brand. And both of them they're okay. They're not that great. They have some awful friggin' wigs in this one, man. Like, Alec Baldwin doesn't too bad, but it's not really that convincing. And Russell Brand's one, it looks exactly like that generic 80s glam rocker wig that you would buy at something like Party City or something like that. That's exactly how it looks. So yeah. And they haven't paid their taxes in about a year or so, so they're pretty much on the verge of bankruptcy. And they booked Stacey Jacks, who's preparing for their final gig with his band Arsenal, and he's played by Tom Cruise. And I heard a lot of people really praise Tom Cruise. He ain't that great in this. Newsflash, he ain't that great. I will give him this. His singing is decent. I mean, it's better than I thought it was going to be. But other than that, he basically plays the role as a generic rock star, all boozed up and sex crazy and stuff like that. It really adds nothing new to that whole stereotype of a rock star. And so later that night, Drew, he wants to be a rock star and he has stage fright. And then there's all these mashups of songs, and a lot of them don't even work at all. Like at the beginning, there's a mashup of Sister Christian, Just Like Paradise, and Nothing But a Good Time. And they kind of sound awkward together. They really don't need to be all bunched up together. And then this is where I went nuts at this, where I went insane at this. Because it's a mashup of Jukebox Hero and I Love Rock and Roll. And anyone who knows me knows how much I love I Love Rock and Roll. I Love Rock and Roll, specifically the Joan Jett version, is my favorite song of all time. So, I'm definitely have some feelings about this. And it's all the songs really are just terrible. They really do sound like Glee, like they came direct from Glee, all polished up, sounds nothing like rock. They sound very poppy and stuff like that. It just sounds terrible. And I Love Rock and Roll, they just ruined that song, almost ruined that song for me because it has Russell Brand and Alec Baldwin singing I Love Rock and Roll into a freaking hairbrush. I mean, come on. That is just stupid. I mean, God. I Love Rock and Roll it seems like the movie industry is always trying to ruin that song. First in the past, with those guys in that truck or car or whatever, and then Crossroads with Britney Spears and her terrible freaking cover of it, and now this one. The only movie that I have seen that actually uses that song right is The Runaways. You know why? Because that movie, The Runaways, was made by competent filmmakers. But anyway, moving on. Patricia Whitmore, who she is the religiously life of the mayor, who's played by Walter White, Bryan Cranston, and they really did not use him well in this movie. I kind of wish that he had gotten a bigger role in this one, but at the same time, I'm glad he didn't have to suffer as much as the other guys and girls, but anyway, so here's another weak moment. It's basically a parody of the PMRC and Tipper Gore and all those anti-rock stuff back in the 80s. This group is all against rock and roll. They hate rock and roll. And what do they sing? Hit Me With Your Best Shot, a rock song. Oh my God. But anyway, so Drew and Sherry end up dating, and Dennis runs to the open act has been canceled, and Sherry convinces them to use Drew. And Paul Giamatti, he plays Paul Gilman, and he's really the only one that's truly trying in this movie. He's actually the one that really does seem like a lot of fun, It truly seems like he's having a good time on here. And Kevin Nash ends up being one of Stacey Jacks' bodyguards. And I don't know why he's in this. I mean, it's a minor role. Pretty much a cameo role. He doesn't really say anything. I mean, I guess it was cool to see him in the movie, but I don't know. What is one of my favorite nostalgia wrestlers doing in this movie? But anyway, there's an interview between Stacy and Constant, who's a reporter for Rolling Stone, and kind of tells him that he's not good anymore, that he's all washed up, blah blah blah, and stuff like that. And so Sherry ends up giving him a bottle of whiskey, which she actually accidentally drops. And it's a misunderstanding. I hate that cliche misunderstanding. And he thinks that both of them had sex, and Drew becomes angry and sings "I Wanna Rock." And speaking of Drew performing, this is really that stupid thing. Well, he apparently writes a song, and you know what it is? Just a small town girl living in a lonely world. Like, really? Does Journey not exist in this universe? Journey, by the way, are overrated. I'm sorry, they are. That's my opinion. I don't think they're any good, but anyway, Drew ends up signing a contract with Paul Giamatti's character, and he ends up having to be a boy band. And here's the part where it really pissed me off, where it really angered me. They're attending meetings, right, for record labels to sign them. And one of the record labels happens to be Blackheart Records, Joan Jett's label. And in the movie, they say this, and I swear to God, I am not making this up. Rock is dead. Can he rap? And I'm like, you did not just say that. This movie did not have the balls to say that. Like, when would anybody at Blackheart Records ever say that? And like, I don't know. Blackheart Records did release a couple of rap albums, in the 90s. But again, that was with other companies, with other record labels. This one, there's no reason to say that. It's completely inaccurate. I mean, Jesus. Ugh. I mean, I don't know. I guess it wouldn't really bother me that much if I wasn't a huge fan of Joan Jett. But I really am. So that part really pissed me off. But anyway. So they end up, apologizing to each other, blah, blah, blah. And so Stacy, whatever. And Drew finds all of Sherry's stolen records, which was first night, and drops them off at her. And she's now working at a strip club, whatever. So Drew's boy band starts the show, but the rocker crowd, as all rockers and stuff, rejects them. And Stacy ends up confronting Patricia and the rest of the women who sing yet another rock song, "We're Not Gonna Take It." Oh, God. And she ends up, it's revealed that she used to be an ex-groupie of Stacey Jaxx. Not that anyone really gives a crap at this point. So they reunite Wolfgang von Colt, which is Drew's band. And they all perform "Don't Stop Believing," and everybody stopped, blah, blah, blah. And Stacy ends up rejoining Arsenal. And the leads become rock stars. And that's about it. I'm not even going to talk about this movie anymore. Bottom line, the movie sucks. It really does. All the songs suck. The actual song selection, on the other hand, is great. You have all these rock songs, from Foreigner, Def Leppard, Poison, stuff like that. And the actual song selection is really good. But unfortunately, this movie had potential, I guess, but it just sucked. It's the second worst movie I have ever seen in my life. It just sucks. Don't see this movie, whatever you do. It just embarrasses rock fans. It really makes rock and metal fans look really bad. It makes them look like idiots. I just wish, if you want to see a movie that actually respects rock and roll and heavy metal, watch School of Rock. That's a great film. Don't see this film, whatever you do. This movie almost broke me. It almost broke my spirit. It's that bad. Whatever you do, don't go see it. So that's been the Mailman Podcast. I'll be back later. I'll see you then.